And we're live. So, hello, a warm welcome to each and everyone who has been looking forward for new topics and new guest speakers that join in this initiative that we have in terms of sharing knowledge for free because knowledge should be free. And we wanted to give back to the community in that form because that's the only precious and most valuable thing that we have in this world is to share our knowledge and personal experiences, and that's what we talk about here in Let Us Talk It. So Let Us Talk It is made possible by Cogent Integrated Business Solutions. So they're an IT company based in Detroit, Michigan, and they just wanted to give back to the community, and the best form to do it is do this free knowledge sharing platform. And we invite esteemed guest speakers, seasoned professionals, to share their valuable time and experience as well, along with their knowledge into this platform for the benefit of everyone. So for those who are seeking for different forms of knowledge and information, may it be motivational, may it be wellness, may it be in professional industry, this is the best place that you can gather or ask professionals as they can consider this one their free time where they can give their free advices or life experiences that they can share with us. All right. So I'm here today with two guest speakers, which I will be introducing later on, along with their topic. All right. So for us to start our webinar today, let me just introduce my first topic. The first topic that we will be discussing today. So first is be proactive managing up and across. So this topic is will be given to us or shared to us by Ms. Keli Frazier-Cox, and we're very excited for her to discuss the importance of managing up and across. And she will be bringing her experiences and challenges along with this topic, and as well as her tactics that she implemented for her to be able to build a strong career that took her all the way to the C-suite. And yes, we're just very excited to hear the topic that she wanted to share with us today. And some few things that you can take from this topic is you can actually learn to learn to focus on experiences and skills that you want to gain in addition to the next promotion that you're looking forward, and reframe career development, and objectively observe your leader and environment, and building a plan of action not just on your own aspirations, and also learn to how to add value in your unique culture. And our speaker today is the founder of Promote Leaders LLC. The mission of her organization is to help executives become the leader others want to follow, and guiding her clients as a leadership coach, trainer, and keynote speaker. And without further ado, let me introduce to you to Ms. Keli Frazier-Cox, the founder of Promote Leaders LLC, and our first guest speaker today for the first topic. Please take over.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And I'm really excited to be here with you all today. And thank you for the invitation. So as we talk about this particular topic of managing up and across, I really love giving this because everyone has someone they want to influence, right? It could be their direct leader. If you're a CEO, it could be the board. If you're coming up within your career, it could be your colleagues. So this is a critical topic in order to be successful within your career. And as I thought about this, I thought this would be particularly good for this group because my mother was a chief information officer. And she worked so hard through her career, first generation college graduate, really built herself up. And a lot of the advice she gave me, though I love her dearly, was terrible. She said, hey, keep your head down, do your work. If you do your best, someone's going to notice you, and then you'll get that promotion you deserve. And I definitely think we have to work hard. You still have to have, high performance. You still need to be great at your work. But I will say, implementing the tactics that we're going to talk about today actually helped me to achieve a C-suite role 15 years earlier than her. 1 5. So when you think about shifting how you show up in the workplace, you can certainly achieve those goals through a number of different ways, but I just want to give you a few options to consider here. Now, usually when folks hear me talk about managing up, the first thing they think of is, so you're telling me I'm supposed to suck up now, right? Like I have to change who I am in order to become, seen, heard, and valued at my organization. And I'm going to challenge that because I don't think that's the case at all. In fact, I want us to define it a little bit differently. Let's think about managing up as building partnerships, authentic partnerships with those around you so that you can effectively influence them. So now you're going to be in a space where you're not doing a very selfish move of, I'm just going to compliment my boss all the time and hopefully they see me and know me. No, we want you to build a long-standing, realistic relationship that enhances both your brands, right? How do we build that win-win? And how can you start to really directly impact and be proactive about the goals you want to achieve in your career? So here, this is my definition of managing up. It's an intentional alignment across three spaces. So we think about kind of a win-win-win. It's around for you, for your leader, and for your organization. So that way your work is visible, it's recognized, and certainly rewarded. So with that foundation, now I think we could talk a little bit about how you want to do that. And so in this idea of managing up, we're going to look at it across three different areas. Now, for the sake of today, we're going to boil a lot of this down to the high level. But this is part of a larger 90-minute workshop that I certainly would be happy to speak with any of you or your teams about in the future. But our first step is you got to know yourself, right? And this is probably the piece that is neglected the most. Most folks really do think my manager is supposed to tell me, the organization is supposed to lay out my career ladder and career goals. And I'm not letting those leaders off the hook. There is certainly some responsibility there, but there's so many options, but you need to know what to ask for. And how do you know what to ask for? You have to start with yourself. Then the second piece is really digging in on your audience. What's your culture? What are your leaders like? Who do you want to influence and why? As I go through these slides, it would be really helpful to think of one person that you'd like to influence and see how you can start to implement these ideas. And then finally, I'm going to give you an abbreviated version of a strategy that you can take so that you can leave this call today with a couple of ideas you can start to work through right away. So if we think about this first section of knowing yourself, here's a question that I've often talked to many people that I mentor and coach and have even led. I've really had the pleasure in my career of leading across multiple countries. I've had teams on practically every continent. And to see that consistently, the thing that we really need to work through is making sure we know where we want to go, what's important to us. And that seems to cross cultures, cross functions very well. Many folks are living by someone else's expectations, right? What did your parents want you to do growing up? What is your boss telling you need to do? How does your friend group or a broader society define success? And then like my mom, she would say, hey, if you work really hard, someone will see you. And that usually leads to a place of feeling unfulfilled or lost. And so in order to really communicate effectively, first you have to do some of that internal work. And that takes time and reflection, but it absolutely can be done. So as you're thinking about this, a good place to start is knowing your impact. What value do you bring? And it can mean a lot of different things. I see people defining success in a very narrow way, but maybe you're an amazing collaborator. Maybe you're someone who has so many ideas of efficiency, improving processes, taking some products to the next level. Or maybe you're someone who's able to really interact with clients. You can actually have that bottom line revenue impact. In my career, I was a chief commercial officer, I was a general manager, I was a global head of learning and development. So I certainly over time tried to hit on all of these areas. But the key is making sure you know where you stand out, what makes you unique. And some of that is tracking your successes. When I speak to folks, normally that last 3 months or right before your performance review, there's usually some moment when you scramble to try to figure out, okay, what did I do? What were my accomplishments? It's worth tracking this over time. Keep a folder, keep those emails, keep those thank you notes so that you have a full picture of what you've done across the year. And you'll actually start to see some trends on where folks are complimenting you most often. So once you have that, then thinking about where you want to go is really important. Here's the thing about life, right? It's not predictable. You can't exactly plan step by step everything you want, but you can be interested in your end goal. Look, where do you want to get to? What kind of experiences do you want to have? And then be flexible with the how you get there. So allow the path to wind, allow there to be a little bit of a zigzag as you go so that you're actually seeking experiences in addition to salary and title, right? I'm not saying we all want to earn money, we all want to be recognized, but I almost made a major mistake. I was offered an opportunity. I'm based in Chicago. I was offered an opportunity to live in London, and I actually turned it down initially. And 2 years later, it came up again. And I thought, okay, what's my luck that I'm going to get offered an opportunity to live overseas twice? And though I had a lot of reasons to say no, one of which was that it did not come with salary or title, I said yes anyway. And it was amazing. It changed my life. It changed my trajectory. It enhanced my travel and my global experience. So it allowed me to become a C-suite executive because I definitely referenced that experience as I progressed through my career. My family didn't get it. So, my family didn't travel. They're not globally focused. So if I lived by their standards, which was get the title, I wouldn't have taken it, right? So you want to think about what's important to you and seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. So again, that being flexible with the how. And then quickly, I do want to talk a bit about audience. So here's a mistake I see a lot of people make is that they feel like the company molds to them. We should all be our full selves. We want to be authentic, but in any relationship, there is give and take. And before you can understand what that relationship looks like, first, you need to know what you're working with. So taking that step back, observing your environment, and then figuring out where the overlap or where you complement those around you are ways to make relationships easily. Now, part of this comes from the fact that I am a pretty big introvert. And so for a long time, especially in a commercial role where I was responsible for working with so many extroverted people, I found it really challenging. And then I realized that actually this is a little bit of a superpower because it allowed me to sit back, observe what was happening. And then when I decided to speak, when I decided to interact, it had a much bigger impact because now I could speak to every person in the room, right? I can make a connection of my goal, my idea, my initiative, the job I want. I could start to see how it benefits everyone, not just me, right? So as you're doing that observation, start to sit back and think about what's working? Someone is being successful there. Why? What are they doing? What are the patterns? Who are the people making change? Who are the people that are actually making a difference? And how are they going about it? So this is a key moment to be curious, to investigate. And I have to say, my father was a detective, so he taught me to ask a lot of questions. So it's through that process that you really start to get a sense of where you're working and what that looks like. And, what are those unwritten rules, right, that aren't in the handbook, that aren't in the official career folder? And then you have a key question you have to ask yourself here. which is now that you've understood your goals, you understand the environment, is this where I want to be? Right? Is there overlap in values? Is there an overlap of where you want to go? I meet so many people who fall into a job and stay, or so many people who got promoted to be a manager because they were a great individual contributor, but they didn't really choose it. And part of the power of managing up and across is that you are choosing. You're making a deliberate choice to be there, and you're making a deliberate choice to have an impact in the place that you work. So that's looking at the broader culture. Next, let's look at your manager, right? And as we think about how your manager thinks, how do they communicate? There are lots of little assessments and tricks that you can use to help identify, what kind of person am I working with? DISC is one. They have lots of free assessments online. But Myers-Briggs, Hogan, Enneagram. There are lots of ways to identify this for yourself, but also to help think about this from the perspective of your manager. And why this is important is because if you can communicate closer to their style, you're much more likely to have your ideas heard and acted upon, right? So if you're working with an I, someone who's very outgoing, very enthusiastic, very big on social relationships, you're much more likely to influence them at a happy hour, for example, versus a C, which is someone who's methodical, more conscientious, more analytical. They're going to want to see your data. You want to do a new idea. Why? Why should it work? Show me best practice. Show me your trials. What resources did you reference before you came up with this idea? Right? And S, someone who's more stable. There's someone who's about harmony, process. They will listen if it's about affecting team morale, right? If this is something that's going to cause conflict or discord within the group and you can help fix that, they're going to be really interested in that. And then you have a D that's going to be more dominant, more task-oriented, more goal-oriented. So is your idea going to help me hit my target? Is this idea going to hit our efficiency goals? Is this idea going to get us at the top of the leaderboard? Right? So as you think about that, you don't need an assessment to really get this, but this is just good terminology to help ground us here. But there are things you can do as you observe, right? Does my leader write really long emails with lots of context and links and things like that? Maybe they're a C. If they ask for data, lots and lots of data, maybe they're more in the C range. How do they track progress and success? What do they do for fun? So these are all questions you can observe, you can ask, just as you try and get to know how do you best interact with that person. And then what are they like under stress, right? That's key, because that's usually when your real values, your real traits really show up, is what happens when you're under stress. So with that in mind, I do just want to encourage you that this is about adaptation, not confirmation. We don't want you to conform and become someone else. This is when you get into the sucking up part of, managing up. We don't want that. We want you to think about how you wrap your message, how you approach it, but you are who you are. Your values are true, and you've been thoughtful about where you want to be and where you want to go. So, be calm, be present, be thoughtful. Think about the platinum rule, which is treat others how they want to be treated. And then framing your suggestions around how will this benefit them, or how will it benefit the overall organization? And then for our last bit here, this is just around building a strategy. How do you find that triple win for you, for your manager, for the organization? And we can swap manager out with someone you want to influence. We can swap manager out with a coworker. This is about who do you want to share an idea or change their mind or get them on board for your next career step. So building this with intention is critical. And when you do that, make sure you're coming to this with open hearts, good intentions, with a how can I help? right? It's really tough for folks to turn you down if you're trying to help them achieve their goals as well. So we want you to be, confident in your abilities. So from that first section, generous with your time and certainly grateful about the opportunities that are being presented. And so usually after that, I get the question of, okay, well, who do I call? Who do I interact with? Who am I managing up and across to? And this is a proprietary framework for promote leaders, but thinking of it as building a stakeholder map for your career. Who are the key people that can influence you and where you'd like to go in the future? Obviously, the upper left of your direct manager and leader is usually where people go first. But I want to say it's not all on them. There are a lot of folks within an organization who can help you grow, who can help you get those experiences that you'd like to have. People you influence, let's say you mentor new hires. Well, they have skills. Maybe they're great at social media, maybe they're great at influencing. How can you start to think about the strengths of those around you? And, obviously we want to spend little time, as little time as possible with that bottom left, but you can turn those relationships around as you're building that commonality. But the one I want to call out here is the respected specialist, because this is often overlooked. This person's usually not a manager. They're usually very expert in their particular area, and they're well respected within the organization. So it's someone you can learn a ton from, and someone who would speak highly of you, who has a lot of credibility within the organization. So if you're able to find a complementary relationship there, that could help you get those experiences. It could help you get exposure to other parts of the organization. And it could be a really impartial party to show how amazing you are, so that it's not only coming from your manager. So as we think about, how could these different groups help you? They can give you honest feedback, right? They're not your manager. They're not in charge of whether or not you get promoted. So they can tell you how you showed up in that meeting or where you could improve. And in my experience, this is certainly a way to build some lifelong relationships. Someone that I partnered with from another department, we clicked. We ended up coming up with a great idea for a new product, and we were able to double revenues in 1 year, which was not the plan. But it's once you find that synergy, you really can see great things will happen. And so we actually rose through the organization together because of that partnership. So just as I wrap up here, like I said, this is part of a larger workshop, so you're getting a abbreviated version here. But I did want to make sure that you're aware of each of the points we talked about. First, knowing yourself. And pretty much any session I give, I have to talk about that. Have you done that self-reflection? Then thinking about your broader environment and how you fit within it. And then finally, who you want to influence, and thinking about a real and genuine way to interact with them that improves not just your world, but theirs also. And that gets us back to our broader topic and definition of what managing up is all about. So building those intentional partnerships so that your work is seen, it's recognized, and rewarded. So, as we're wrapping up here, I certainly gave you a lot of information to consider. But like most things, it's about the small steps. So, what's one thing you'd like to change as a result of today? Feel free to add it into the chat or write it down privately. But certainly good to know that you're digesting this information and thinking about something you can implement right away. So with that, I can open it up to any questions or wherever you'd like to go next, Phil.
Okay. All right. Wow, that was really like very timely, and somehow also like it can be a reminder as well for those who have been like jumping from one job to another. Like it will get you burnt out up until someone notices your hard work. So when you get burnt out, then you just decide to leave. So it's
Mhm.
not gonna make use of your uh hard work. Uh, yeah, so one thing I'll change maybe is the strategy. So that's in mine. And then we have your, yeah, Sally. So hi, Azza, Sally, William, and Haley. If you wish to ask questions or collaborate with the speakers, you can put it in chat or raise your hand to open your mic, definitely. And yeah, well, thank you so much for that one, Kelly. And one thing though, like, can you share a pivotal moment or a turning point in your career?
Oh yeah, definitely several. I think for me, my career certainly took that zigzag. Though most of my career was in a commercial role, so either in sales, account management, client success, things like that, delivery. I realized there was a huge gap in my organization that there was no learning and development department. So I was doing a lot of reading and learning on my own. And this is probably the biggest opportunity I had for managing up and across because I had to convince my CEO to build a learning and development department and then to let me lead it. And so, that took us several months, but I think putting some of these ideas into place was huge. And so we started small just for my department, my global team that was focused in the commercial work. And within 2 years, it was a global team. It was across all departments. I had, representatives in all our major regions. And it was just a way to add so much value to every employee in the organization. It was one of the most rewarding roles that I've had so far.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you so for sharing
But
that
just
one.
because it doesn't exist, it doesn't mean you can't do it.
Exactly, exactly. So, like, it's just the same as like when you were doing some few research, like you find the gap, then you found it, then yeah, you forced to implement it, and that gives you the big break. Wow, that's a really great story that you have shared. And let me just check on live. We have some few comments. All right. So no comments or questions so far. And yeah, as
And yeah, what we have here on the screen is just my QR code to my LinkedIn.
mhm.
Love to connect, stay in touch. I have a monthly newsletter, so that's another way to get additional tips on, different ways of building your leadership profile. How do you become a leader within your organization? And a lot my other services are coaching, one-to-one or as a group. And I also help build leadership programs for a lot of my clients. So just helping start to build that common language of what does it mean to be a good leader, and then how do we actually start to implement that in the organization. And finally, I'm starting to book for the fall in Q1 of 2025 for speaking engagements. So whether that's for workshops like this or a keynote on leading authentically or building resilience, those are certainly all topics I'd be happy to speak with you all about.
All right. So there you go. So that's the future things that you can expect from Kelly. If you wish to collaborate with her, you just send her a connection request or a message on LinkedIn. Definitely, she's very responsive, very kind. So
Yeah,
yeah,
this has been
well,
wonderful. Thank you. Thank you again for the invitation.
definitely we will really we really appreciate the actual effort because not much or not everyone. So ahead of time, also Rob, I'm thanking you for your time definitely because not everyone shares their time in this like this way because time is valuable like the minute every minute you can definitely make use of it for your personal living and all that. So we are very grateful, and for those
Thank you.
who are like just watching a live right now or will be watching this recorded session, definitely make use of this informational uh recorded videos definitely, as these are not just working persons. These are seasoned professionals. They have great experiences before they landed on where they are sitting right now. So make use of this one, and definitely will give you more in the future sessions as well. All right. Well, thank you, Kelly, for that very informative topic. It's fascinating, and yeah, we will move to the second topic that we have for today. All right. So, folks, the second topic that we have today is the financial freedom formula. So, saying goodbye to money worries. Well, this is a very, like, let's say in the hierarchy of needs, like money definitely gives most of the worries, and definitely in like areas where it's having a quite a drought. And like here in this topic, we will discover why most people struggle with managing finances, and the straightforward strategies you can adopt to ensure financial peace of mind. And our speaker today is Mr. Rob Reed, and he is a finance professional, aspiring entrepreneur, and passionate advocate for financial literacy. And his commitment to empowering others, especially those from underserved companies, to take control of their financial well-being stems from his own life experiences. So, as you listen to this topic, definitely you will not just hear the professional part. Definitely, as our guest speaker will be talking from his personal journey and alongside with his knowledge with it. And having faced personal hardships, including a period of homelessness, he understands the stress and limitations that financial uncertainty can place on individuals and families. And also, he has a military background, which has he was able to instill in him a deep sense of leadership, resilience, and the ability to navigate complex challenges. And ours, and I present to you Mr. Rob Reed, an author and a financial planner. So, Mr. Reed, please take over.
Thanks very much. Thanks, Phil, for having us. And Kelly, what a wonderful, wonderful presentation. So thank you for that. I will definitely be referencing some of your points, I think. So one of the points Kelly talked about was the disc profiling. So we're all very different and treat others how they want to be treated. Everyone has a different way of going about things. And so we're talking about money, we're talking about finance, talking about numbers. There's going to be some detail here. If you're not a C in the disc profiler, do not worry. If you're not detail oriented, if you're not money or math oriented, don't worry about it because we'll break it down very simply. And this is all about not getting your finances into a got £100,000 in savings or even £100 in savings. It's none of that. This is about having the peace of mind that you have an awareness, understanding, and control over your financial position. Okay. So this is taking a your finances against your lifestyle. And it's making sure that you understand that and how to get on top of it and ahead of it. So it doesn't matter what position you're in. It doesn't matter if you're in debt. It doesn't matter if you've got a load of money in the bank, if you've got a house or not. Don't worry about it because we're going to go through how to get the peace of mind. And that's where the freedom comes from. Freedom isn't coming from anything other than freedom from the anxiety, the stress, the worries of that mindset. So I promised you a formula. Here's a formula. Don't worry about it. We're going to talk through a few of these in a bit more detail. Okay. And also why this stresses people out. Here's what most people do. We look at our banking app, check the account balance, go, I've got some money left, or I haven't got any money left at the end of the month. Now, the danger with that is it doesn't show you any upcoming transactions. Generally, it might show one or two in your standing orders or direct debits, but what it's not going to show you is you buying that takeaway tomorrow night. It's not going to forecast your transactions here. So actually, it doesn't really tell you the overall picture of your financial position. It's only one account. And let's be honest, we've all got multiple accounts. Probably stresses us out. Well, we've got them anyway. So we have got accounts for savings, we've got accounts for retirement, we've got accounts for our general current accounts for living day to day, we've got credit cards, we've got loans, we've got debts, we've got all of these things. If we check each one individually, we're probably not going to have a good idea as to how that actually all fits in. And this is coming down to the middle point here, which is it might be allocated for something else. So as we can see on the screen, $250.67. That money, he could think, cool, I'm going to go out to dinner tonight. But actually, he's got a bill that's coming out, or he needs to buy food next week before he then gets paid again. So allocating money is one of the first principle that we're going to talk about. It's the biggest mistake I see people do consistently every single day. What is single allocation? Well, it's very simply that £1 that you have allocated it for something, whatever that might be. That could be you've allocated it for your food budget for the month. You've allocated it because you need to travel, or it's fuel, or the train costs, or you know that you need to buy some people some gifts. So we've set that aside. So we've allocated our money, and what we're not going to do is spend that money because then it doesn't exist anymore. If it sits in the account, we aren't aware of where that money is allocated because it is broken down. We have allocated it for something in our minds, or we don't know we've allocated it for something, but in the future, we're going to want to buy something with that money. So therefore, it needs to be allocated. If you spend that £1 twice, what happens? Moves us into debt. And that's okay. That's what credit cards, loans, and everything else is for. But if we continue to do that, and that's a habit, that's going to move us further and further into an area we don't want to be. Some debt is good debt, some debt is not good debt. Now, I'm not going to get into good and bad debt today. I do write LinkedIn articles all the time about various different things that are free to just go and click on and read through. And like with Keli, definitely connect with Keli, and for sure connect with me as well on LinkedIn, because that's where I am. I'm not on all the social media, but I'll post articles and write about these sort of things as well. So there's a lot that we're not going to go into, but the core, if you take one thing away, it's this, the single allocation principle. Make sure that your money is allocated, and I'm going to consistently show you over the next few minutes how to do that in each area. So there's three core areas that we're going to talk about today, and that is your fixed outgoings, your living budget, and money envelopes. Now, these are Pippin terms. Pippin I'll explain about a bit later on, but these are the three core elements that make up your overall financial lifestyle, your financial picture. Okay. Fixed outgoings is the one that we're going to have a look at first. Now, this is quite simply all standing orders, all direct debits, anything that is fixed. Now, whether that's monthly, weekly, biannually, annually, or other, if it is a guarantee is going to come out of your bank account automatically, this is where you write it down. And by all means, if you've got an open pad and pen handy, start writing some of these down, start writing a couple of bits. All standing orders, all direct debits, write them down. Next to them, just make a mark whether they come out monthly, what date they come out on. If they come out anything other than monthly, so, every other month or weekly or yearly, let's turn that into a monthly figure. So if it's weekly, just very simply, just for now, times it by 4. If you want to go into the detail, if you're a C, times it by 52, divide by 12. That gives a true month. But let's just make it a month. So if it's an annual subscription, for example, so a lot of people pay for Amazon Prime as a yearly subscription because it's cheaper if you pay annually rather than monthly. Take that figure, just divide it by 12. Let's get a monthly amount next to that, okay? Because we'll need that later. So we'll save all those. Then what you can do is you can go through and go, okay, where are my absolutely important ones? Where are the ones that I cannot move? Okay, we've just got to keep those. But can we get a better price for it? Comparisons or just phoning up, let's say it's internet provider. And that for us is an essential. Phone the provider, can I get a better deal? No. Okay, well, can I move to somewhere else? Can I get a better deal? If not, that's fine. We've reviewed it. Let's set to review this in 12 months' time and have another look. There will probably be some things that you have just forgotten you're paying for. Mine was a Google Play storage, online storage thing. It was 59p or whatever it was a month. Completely forgot that I was paying for it. So not using it, cancel it. Or I am using it, or I've got a different service. So let's just review these. Okay, so go down them. What are the essentials? Can I get a better price? If not, we're just gonna have to stick with it. Otherwise, do I need it? Can I cancel it? Can I use something else? Is there a different way to go about this? Then what we'll have is your fixed outgoings. That will give you a monthly total. Even if they're annual fixed outgoings, we'll still need the month. So it will give you a monthly total of how much, if you did nothing, everything's going to come out of your account throughout the year. That's the first step. Pretty simple. So there's your list, park that. The second element is your living budget. And I call this a living budget and not just a budget because it is designed to help you just live the day-to-day life. Okay. The reason budgeting as a term doesn't generally work with people, people pick it up, put it down, I don't like dieting. Okay. It's either too specific and we write down a list of 28 different things with, okay, this is how much I'm allowed to spend on milk each month. This is how much I'm allowed to spend on running trainers each month, or whatever it might be. If you get through that many pairs of running trainers a month, then we probably need a separate chat. But this is for everything that you're consuming. Okay. So if you go too into the detail, it's just so time consuming and also very monotonous. Even as finance professionals, we look at this and go, okay, I mean, there should be a way we can categorize everything. And then if you go the other way and you take some of the budgeting principles, for example, the 50-30-20 principle, which is just allocating 50% of your income, 30% and 20% for different things. I'm not going to go into it now, but ultimately it just isn't flexible enough. It's too vague, it's too generic, and it just doesn't work for each individual circumstance. So it's either too specific or it's too vague and generic. And we need something that's tailored to us that we can actually keep on top of. The other thing is we need to know what we're doing. I took a lot of exams to qualify as a finance professional, and I work in London as a financial planner, as Phil said. And I'm still learning, I'm still doing a lot of exams, loads of training. I know what I'm doing, just I'd like to think I know what I'm doing. And it's even if you know what you're doing, it's super time consuming. But not everyone has the willpower or the want to learn all this stuff. So just don't, is my advice. Don't. Have a broad understanding of it, but you don't need to go into the weeds of it. So don't go too specific. And the more time consuming, the less you're going to want to do it. As Phil said, time is valuable for all of us. It doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing. So spending it on the detail that isn't actually necessary, if you want to do it, fine, absolutely. But it just isn't necessary because it's finance, money, budgeting, our life is so fluid that you don't want to get into the weeds of it. So here's what we do. The Pippin principle is you have 5 categories in your living budget, max. That's it. You can have three, you can have whatever you want, but no more than 5, because otherwise we're just not going to keep on top of it. My 5, and this is all completely personal preference, this is day-to-day spending, by the way. So anything that you're just going to spend ad hoc day to day, this isn't for your big purchases or a few times a year. And obviously we've already accounted for the outgoing, so that doesn't include these. So for me, it's travel costs. I'm not talking vehicle costs, so MOT and insurance and stuff. That we'll talk about later. Travel costs for me is fuel, is parking, and is train fares. So I've got travel, I've got food, main. So that is groceries, food out, which is nice to have food. And I break those down because I like to eat out. And I try not to go over budget on the eating out. So I pull it back slightly. I then have consumables, so that is your soaps and your cleaning products and whatever else that might be. And lastly, I have a social budget. So those are my five. Social is going to include coffee or drinks out or whatever that might be, a cinema ticket. So those are my five categories. Within those, it doesn't really matter. And what I do is I have a look and check and adjust those every month and just make sure that, in some months my lifestyle might mean that I'm going out less or I need to travel more. Um, so I can adjust those. And also I don't punish myself for going over budget on any of these. Okay, it's a guide. It's not set in stone. Okay, if you go over your food out, your treat budget by £20 in the month or even £100 in the month, all it means is that money has got to come from somewhere else. So we need to sort of reallocate, shift some money around. That's fine. As long as we know that, we know where we can get those from. And I'm going to talk about one of the best places to get that from in a minute, which is your envelopes. But don't be too hard on yourself with any of this. Okay. Life is too fluid for any of that. Okay. Things change. What I would say is with your living budget, check it once a quarter. Make sure it's relevant to you. Do you need to add stuff or take away anything? Do you need to increase or can you decrease each budget? And so you've got your five categories or however many you have, you've written down your budget. It will be a bit of a finger in the wind guess at first, but as you track it each month, that's when you will start to see, oh, I'm not spending £200 on groceries. I'm actually spending £300 on groceries, or I'm spending £120 on groceries. That's probably because I'm spending £500 on food out, or whatever it might be, however your lifestyle is. Just track it, have a look. Don't be too hard on yourself, and then you can adjust. Adjust to be realistic, and then you can look at, okay, can I make some lifestyle changes to try and reduce this? And don't go hard and fast. If you're spending £200 on eating out a month, don't go, well, I'm going to cut that down to 50. Go, all right, well, next month I'm going to try and spend 175 or 180, and then try and just incrementally bring it down to whatever you like. But not so much that your lifestyle changes so that you're not having a good time. Okay. Life is for living, and finance money is to enable that. Okay. We're not here to just save money because we can't take it with us. It's to enable us to do things, whatever that might be. This is the key element. Money envelopes. And this is things that people miss a lot. And this is one of the key flaws in all traditional budgets or people that sort of plan their finances. This is the catch-all. This is everything else you need to pay for that you haven't thought about in your budget or your fixed outgoings, because people stop there. This is, we know that every year we're probably going to have to buy some Christmas presents for people. We know every year that people's birthdays come around. We know that every year we need to pay for our car insurance, or we know that at some point our boiler is probably going to break in the next 5, 10, 15 years, however long it's been since you've had a new boiler. So planning for these catastrophes or even these known entities, we can plan for them. So you create an envelope for each different thing. So here's a picture of me and my dog Harvey, who's just the most adorable thing in the world, that I'm slightly biased. So I've got an envelope for Harvey. And in Harvey's envelope goes some money every month so that anything that I need to buy him, that is vaccinations through to food, through to new toys and treats and days out and day school and whatever it might be, gets paid out of that envelope. Okay, so this is everything else. Or I would say the first envelope that you need to write down is a catastrophe envelope. That is, if things go wrong, I can pull out of that. And with the catastrophe envelope, this is where financial professionals say that you should probably have 3 to 6 months of your income as a catastrophe. I change that slightly. I say that you should have as much as you can of your expenditure, and we'll work out our true expenditure by the end of this as we're writing all this down. So start with trying to get 1 month of your true expenditure in your catastrophe envelope. then build that up, and then aim for 3 months, and then aim for 6 months, and then aim for a whole year. And once you have a whole year of your true expenditure, you know that if everything went wrong, you have some time to be able to recover, recoup, and reorganize and get your life back on track. Okay, it gives you some time, not lots of time. A year's not that long, right? We know that it just starts to go quicker and quicker, but it allows you to be able to reorganize yourself. So this is for everything. So if a payment comes up any point in your life and you think, oh, that's not in a fixed outgoing, it's not in my living budget, it should be in an envelope. You can have as many envelopes as you like. I have 16 envelopes for different things. I have one for I collect playing cards. So I put a little bit of money, about £10 a month, into an envelope, which means that I can treat myself either at birthday or Christmas or whenever I'm, feeling like I would like to treat myself, and I can treat myself to a pack of nice playing cards for my collection. Sad, but I'm a finance professional. We all have our thing, right? And so with this, where I said earlier, if you go over budget, that money needs to come from somewhere. They can come from, in the first instance, some of your envelopes. Now, what we need to do is here identify what are our priority envelopes and what can we adjust from. Our priority envelopes are things like my car insurance. I know that has to be paid for every year. I can't get out of it. I can try and negotiate a better price, but that is a priority. I don't want to take money out of that. My catastrophe fund, don't really want to take any money out of the catastrophe fund unless I've got a particularly healthy catastrophe fund, and then I can take a small bit as long as I'm looking to replace that soon. My card collection is one of the first envelopes that I take money from because it's completely, I don't need it. Okay, it's just a nice to have. So having a look at all of these envelopes, what are your priority ones and what are your nice to haves? Okay. So here's how to plan for creating an envelope. What is it for? How much do you want in that envelope or need in that envelope? So let's assume that your car insurance is £500, your service is £250, and then you might need a couple of parts for your car. So it's another, let's say it's £4,000 in total that you want in this envelope. Okay, that might be very expensive for you. For your circumstance, you could have a £600 vehicle envelope. That is entirely your choice and in line with your lifestyle. So let's say it's £1,200. When's it needed? Well, for that, we need it every year. So all we do is take the £1,200 and divide it by 12 because we need it every year. So now I know that I need to put £100 a month into that envelope so that when that payment comes round, I know the money is there. This is the key thing. This is what gives you control and peace of mind, knowing the money is there, knowing that if your boiler breaks, you have an envelope which is for your household items or your white goods, so that when that happens, you've got the money. So let's take the boiler, for example. That might be 10 years. Let's plan on 10 years and you need £5,000. So that's £500 a year. Just divide that by 12. That's how much you're putting into the envelope each month. What's that? £42. So that money then needs to get allocated to that envelope each month. Okay? As many envelopes as you like. Envelopes also, just a quick point on this, you can have a charitable envelope, and I do as well. So any money that you'd like to donate to charity, doesn't matter if you want to do that. If you're doing that via direct debit, that goes in fixed outgoings. Okay, so that's there. Don't cross them over. But if you want to do one-off payments, or donate or buy things or support, you can have an envelope and just put money into that each month. Doesn't mean that the money's going to come out of that and each month. If they do, it's probably one of the fixed outgoings. So this is when we look at the expenditure versus the income. So now we have all of our monthly expenditure, right? So we tend to think our bills go out and then we've got some money left to spend throughout the month. Well, we've just had a look and actually our bills, where people think bills, they think fixed outgoings. The money to spend throughout the rest of the month is the living budget. So the rest of those envelopes are missed. So it comes to Christmas and we're spending on our credit cards and paying it off in January, February, March. So now we can have that fund, that money there, if our income exceeds our expenditure. Perfectly paired with Kelly's talk, because if you need more income, you can. So there's two ways of doing this to balance it. You can either reduce your expenditure, fairly easy to say, hard to do, or increase your income. Easy to say, hard to do, or both, which is what you ideally want to do. Okay, so getting that promotion, getting that pay rise, going out and having a side hustle, those are some of the ways we can do that. But here's your true monthly expenditure. It's your fixed outgoings, your living budget, and your monthly envelope. So we've got the month breakdown of the fixed outgoings, the month breakdown of the living budget, and the month breakdown of the envelopes, the money envelopes. That, add all those together, is your true monthly expenditure. Now match that to your income. If there is a disparity there, it means that you are living a lifestyle above what you can actually afford. And all that means is you're going to start to go into a bit of debt. Okay, doesn't matter. Absolutely fine. We can just adjust those levels and then you can start coming out of that. This is not a quick fix. This will take time. When I did this myself, it took me 2.5 years to get to a balance. Okay, so this is just, and some months it goes backwards, some months it goes forwards. This is what we're building, okay? Because I understand that that is a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, dedication. You might just not want to do it. You understand the principles and it just takes a lot of effort. What we at Pippin are building is an app that does all of this for you and more. So that initial formula that you saw shows you your current position, so your current health. It takes into account these three core elements, plus a few other things. Generates a PIP score, and then gives you ways of how to increase that, how to step by step enhance your position, where your money is to be in which accounts, how you can plan ahead for that. It takes into account everything that you need to pay for. And anything that you need to, you've paid for that you haven't accounted for, it will go, oh, let's readjust this. Or if you go over budget, it will then go, this is the lifestyle change we need to tweak for this month until we get this back on track. So the QR code, which was on each slide and on that slide there, goes to our website, which has a wait list. We are making this now. So you will be one of the first to look at testing the app if you want to test, or when we release fully, you'll be one of the first on the app. Okay. As Kelly said, connect on LinkedIn. We are people. Message us. Happy to answer. As Phil said, I'm very much keen to do a lot of pro bono work and talk to people about finance. So opening up this conversation. And one of the things that I've recently done is written a book. This is a nice fictional narrative, so it's just an easy read. But if you go to www.pippinsbook.com, you can join that waitlist, and that is launching on the 30th of September. If you join the waitlist, not only will you be told about when it gets launched, but you could win a signed copy ahead of launch. So you can be one of the first to get your hands on that. So I appreciate that we are six. If we have any questions, happy to answer them. Otherwise, if we haven't got time or we haven't got any questions just yet and you're watching this on replay, connect with me and I'm happy to talk.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Rob. That was really a wonderful talk. Like, some few things are very new, so I got my notes. For me, it's like new to me in terms of the actual financial freedom that it could bring you with this. And yes, folks, there's this actual app, so just visit the website definitely, and keep your eyes on this actual. It's actually a great application as it's shown in the presentation. So it might as well take a good look and also be able to be a tester of this great application. All right.
Yeah.
So
And I think the key difference here, Phil, is that
mm,
if you don't want to do all of this stuff, it does it for you. So this isn't a
oh,
platform where you can do it. It will do as much as it of this for you, so you don't have to. If you want to do lots of detail, then you can. It's totally flexible. So, but thanks for the time, Phil. It's been brilliant.
definitely. And it's actually a pleasure for us in terms of you sharing your time, hearing from your like learned information through your experience, personal, especially its personal experience. You know, this is the value that we are looking forward in this webinar sessions that we have, wherein we can get a glimpse of your personal journey, your point of view in terms of the success that you are getting, like how you are defining success, what information you could add to the pool of information that already exists. You know, information is everywhere. Like you can just search in your browser, right? Like this and this, but it only differs on your own perspective, the personal view, and your personal delivery of that information. So I really appreciate that, and also the time and effort that you gave into delivering this wonderful information. Especially like it's very applicable to our daily journey. Like we have to make sure to take care of our finances and all that. So um, since some are really few, I take your advice and getting a note. Definitely, it's really good, and it inspired me more. All right, so I'm trying to generate some few questions in mind that was but it's everything is very clear and perfect for me. Let me just check with the attendees if there are any questions. Feel free to put it in chat, definitely, or raise your hand so we can acknowledge. You should be able to open your mic. If not, I just want to ask, like aside from what was introduced earlier in your background, Rob, like what inspired you the most to pursue this kind of like research or work?
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually had a meeting with someone yesterday, and they said, "So, did you always want to go into finance?" And the answer is no. Um, I've always wanted to help people, and that's part of the reason why I joined the military. And upon leaving, I had a look at all the things that I thought were wrong in the world and sort of categorized them. And a lot of them came down to personal finance mismanagement, illiteracy, and just the fact that we're not taught this stuff. We're not taught it generally by our parents, generally speaking, because the whole attitude is you don't talk about your salary, you don't talk about finance, and you bury your head in the sand. And part of that is because they don't know themselves, because they were never taught like us in school. They never had formal education. And then I had that realization where, I was getting into debt. I was homeless, and I was a fairly smart guy. I was training to be a helicopter pilot in the military when I was leaving. So I figured I was fairly switched on. And I thought, if I'm getting this wrong, what is wrong here? And so that was the thing that triggered me to right, head down. I'm going to study. I'm going to get my diploma. I'm going to get a job, and then I progressed and transitioned up to a financial planner role in the city. And I've met some amazing people. I've done some amazing things for people, and now it's my time to give back. And this was sort of a brainchild that I had a number of years ago, and I've been working. Everything I do every single day is for this to help people. And people aren't necessarily like me, where I went, this is a problem, so I'm going to learn everything I can about it and make it my job, my career, my vocation, my passion, my philanthropic goal. some people just don't want to know this stuff. And quite frankly, nor should they, because they're really good creatives. They're really good at their role, their thing. And they maybe just don't want to pay attention to this. And I want them to be good at their thing. So this this is to take that pressure away from them while still giving them that peace of mind. That was the drive for me.
Wow, that's really wonderful. I agree with you with you on like not every one of us talk about, or who wants to talk about their monthly income too, like regularly, just a regular talk. So it's not something that for me, I grew up not knowing the actual income of my parents. And definitely it's something like I do not know as well how they are budgeting. Like it's as you mentioned, it's pretty fluid. So yeah, that's really very inspiring as well that you have given a thought of this actual aid, especially putting it into something you can put in your hands, which is putting it in an app. So yeah, um, there you go, folks. So do not miss on checking out this great application. So this actually helps you in many ways and for the betterment. So as Rob said, this will take away much of the pressure that you wanted to do. Take like give you more time on other things rather than putting it everything on the budgeting part. All right. Okay. So hence there are no questions and any other comments definitely. It's actually a great session. Today's also one of the great sessions that we have in this Let Us Talk It platform. We have very informative speakers, very practical as well in terms of sharing their knowledge and what they bring into the session. So Kelly actually has to drop off due to a meeting and has to go out first. And but still, for both of our speakers, we are very thankful. Really appreciate the time that you give, the information that you give or share to this platform, and the effort as well. Many people has like almost the same experience, knowledge, and all that, but not everyone has the heart to share. And that is what we really appreciate in the guests that we invite in this platform. So uh, we give you our thanks. And yeah, we are hoping that we can collaborate you again still in the future if we can schedule different talks, definitely. And for that, we are about to end our webinar for today. If you missed this session today, live session, we have a recorded session uploaded on YouTube. Just visit let let us talk it. So just put spaces on it. So let US talk and then IT and with an exclamation mark. So please feel free to like this recorded sessions. This will help our guest speakers as well have more visibility and also subscribe so you could get some cheat sheets of practical informations and knowledge that you can use in your daily lives. All right. And we would like to invite you again next Wednesday. We'll have two new topics and, of course, two new guest speakers that will bring us another informative session. All right. So for this, we end our session today and hope to see you again next Wednesday, the same time, 12 noon to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. So that's all. Anything else you'd like to add, Rob?
No, thank you very much, Phil. Appreciate the time.
All right, then. So thank you so much, everyone, and goodbye for now. Keep safe as always. All the best.